All right, so how many of you have heard of Expect before? So a good number of you. Probably not going to show you anything that you don't know. I was really excited. So a little bit of background. I work for a company called Realize Media, and I've been working with Chef for maybe about 6 months or so, and I think it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. To me, it's been a delight. The reason that I've been using Chef is we specialize in streaming media delivery infrastructure. So I have to spend a lot of time building networks containing these kinds of servers for clients. And the one thing is, there's a lot of cookbooks out there for things like MongoDB and Apache and PHP and stuff like that. But in regard to these realms, there's really not much. So I end up finding myself having to build a bunch of stuff from scratch. So the question is what to expect when you're expecting your interactive installers? Well, what I expect is that it's going to ruin my life, and I'm going to, have to spend all this extra time. I've created this awesome cookbook and a bunch of recipes that are badass, and then there's this one program that just throws the monkey wrench into the works. And I mean, we're talking about programs made by, very, very large companies that are very successful. So it's not just, your hackers programs and things like that. So for me, it's pain and suffering, and there's no delight in that at all. So this is where I discovered Expect, and I'm going to have a link at the end of my slides because there's somebody out there in the community, I think he's based in Austin, and I have a link to his blog post. But I was kind of like, hey, interactive, installers, Chef, what do I do? I don't know. And he had a blog post about Accept. Granted, it was a very, very simple example, but it gave me enough to realize that, I can use that. That's awesome. So Expect is based on TCL, and it's a toolkit to automate interactive programs. And those of you that know about Accept, or Expect, I keep saying accept, expect, same word to me. Those of you that have used this or know about this, the common use case that's been used in the past is to automate some kind of telnet session or an SSH session or something to that extent. But the nice thing is basically the flow is you spawn a program and you have string matching and regular expressions that you can utilize within Expect. And you expect and you evaluate the standard out from the program. And so if you have an idea of what's going to happen, then you could send it input. And then finally, you just keep doing that over and over and over again until the program ends. So it's kind of, basic in nature, but it's really powerful, I feel, because it takes that monkey wrench and throws it out the window, and you get to go home. So I have this recipe that's kind of can't really be shared, so I was trying to clean it up and ran out of time. But what I can do is I can actually show you the code, and I can show you the cleaned up recipe. I just didn't have time to get it up and running before this. And that being said, the last slide that I show you, it's got my office hours. I think I'm with Joe, who just got done talking, but we'll be in Marina starting at 3 o'clock. The main thing is I want to show you the difference between having Expect versus not having Expect. So I'm on my server, and it's a Vagrant box. And in here I have, that's why it bombed out. Okay, wrong directory. Okay. So I have this install program for Adobe Media Server. And this is something that I install over and over again. I wish I knew about Chef 2-3 years ago, seriously. I wish I did, but I didn't, unfortunately. I was using, how many of you were using virtual machines in the past and dealing with these huge files? And yeah, that was ridiculous. Chef is awesome. So anyway, now that I found Chef, I'm like, dude, this Adobe didn't really help me out here with their installer, because where's the install AMS? they force you to go through here and add a bunch. This is ridiculous. Every single time I install an AMS server, I got to do all this. Makes me mad. So I needed to find a way to automate it, and that's how I found that blog post on Accept, and that's where I came up with this cookbook. And once I get it clean, I'm planning on sharing this AMS-based cookbook with Expect on my GitHub. I don't have much on my GitHub right now. All you'll see is like a little merge request from Knife Solo or whatever from a little while back. But once it's out, follow my Twitter so you can check it out. But the main thing is I have my cookbook, and the first thing is I have this cookbook here, Expect Cookbook, and this allows me to download some files. First off, you need TCL, and I'm running on Oracle Linux servers, and then from there, once you have that set up and install TCL, you grab Expect, and you install that. So that's pretty straightforward. Once that's on your system, that allows you to create a cookbook with a recipe that leverages Expect. So what I have here, and these were like URLs, and I was just redirecting all that stuff. But I have my installer, and I upload my Expect shell script. And I also can use like databag stuff. I know like there's been recommendations on not using them and things like that. But for me, like this seemed to be the easiest way to secure it so that my passwords weren't in my recipe. So I'm using that in there. And then I extract my install files. And then from there, I run the script. And the nice thing is honestly, my script could use a little fine tuning because if I install and then try and install again, Expect isn't going to handle it quite right because I haven't added conditional statements into certain pieces, which you can do. But the nice thing about Chef is if it sees that the resource is there, it's just going to be like, you're good, it's cool, I'll skip you. So anyway, Expect, though, looks like this. So we have this shebang thing up here at the top, user bin Expect. And then we go through and we spawn the program that we actually want to run. So that very, very painful program I showed you earlier, that's it right there. The one key thing that I noticed with a long program interaction, install process, extraction, things like that, is I had to set a timeout. So I set like a 2-minute timeout because it was like bombing out like halfway through. Like it wasn't letting it finish. So that's kind of a tip if you're working with something like this. And then from there, basically what you see is I'm expecting that the interactive program is going to have this kind of output. And if it does, then in this case, I just enter key. All right, well, now I'm going to expect, do you agree with the license agreement? And the cool thing is I can even use like variables, right, token replacement. And I can send in, all right, well, here's my input. And then I can utilize regular expressions. I'm going to send like space. And that's basically as we're going through the license agreement, 0, 10, 20, et cetera, I'm just kind of pressing the space bar. And then we could start going down in here. And we just start expecting all this other standard output coming from the program. And we continue to send our stuff, such as the serial number that I got out of my data bag, my encrypted data bag, that is. I forgot why that's commented out. I wasn't looking at it earlier today. And then here's some more. So I'm just expecting all this stuff to happen. And you do have branching logic within Expect. I just don't have it hooked up yet. And you got your passwords, so you can have different environments with different attributes and things like that. So it's pretty sweet. But yeah, so that's Expect. And what that allows me to do is basically sit in front of the program without having to sit in front of the program. We're automating. And finally, when the install is done, we expect an EOF, end of file, so end of standard out. And at that point, bam, we're off and we're back onto our nice, resources that play well with others, and the rest of our chef cookbooks are automated. So yeah, so that's Expect. And apparently I have 1 minute. So anybody have any questions? Do you know of any other programs that need this?
The Google, I installed a Google double-click system.
Google?
If anybody buys that anymore.
Okay.
The ad serving software, double-click, I wrote an expect script for that.
Okay.
And also Oracle, I forget which version, but I had to do this.
Java install also needs a license agreement, so you could potentially use it for that.
Yeah, and one disclaimer, like, I'm not a lawyer, but there's a reason they make you look at these license agreements. But, it's cool. Like, I'm not going to sit there and do this for the rest of my life, so. Yeah, all right, so that's good to know. Java, Oracle, double-click. Any others? The what? Canvas Elm. Oh, really? Okay, our college is piloting that right now. Interesting.
Use expect for Windows installations also, where you have a dialog box?
So can you use expect for Windows installation? That's a very good question, which unfortunately I don't know the answer to, but I have somebody. What's it called? Auto. Oh, auto it. So yeah, so Windows flavor of expect would be a thing called auto it. Anyway, special thanks to Glenn Zangirolami, Glenbot. I think he's in Austin, Texas. That's where I got the initial light bulb from. And if you want to contact me or stay in touch when you want to see when this AMS thing is available, feel free. I'll be in the office hours from 3 to 3:15. And thank you for your time.